And let's bring in our panel now. Labor MP, Member for Parramatta and the Special Envoy for Cybersecurity, Andrew Charlton, and Liberal MP, Member for Flinders, Zoe McKenzie. Great to see you both. Andrew, first to you. As we look at the fallout of the US election and the results, emphatic win for Donald Trump, and results around the world right now, are we seeing a situation with this high inflationary environment that it's just a really tough time for incumbents? We're seeing the polling reflect that again today for the Labor government.
Yeah, you're right, Kieran. It has been a tough year for incumbents, lots of big elections around the world. And in most of those elections, the incumbents have received a bit of a kicking. But I think what's important in Australia is to recognise that while people are doing it tough, when they get to the election, they will have a choice. And they'll have a choice between a government that is providing solutions and an opposition that is full of negativity but doesn't actually have any solutions to the problems that they face. This is an opposition that has a housing policy that doesn't build a single home. It's an opposition with a cost of living policy that doesn't give a single additional dollar to families, and an opposition with an energy policy that doesn't create an additional watt of new energy for the next 15 years. So it's easy to criticise, it's easy to be negative, but I don't think that Peter Dutton and the Liberals have yet turned themselves into a credible alternative party of government.
Zoe McKenzie, your response to Andrew on that, but also your reflections, if I can, on that broader issue of incumbents finding it tough right now, and is now the moment, is now the time for Peter Dutton?
So it's obvious from the polling that was released this morning that more people in Australia would rather have a coalition government than they would have Anthony Albanese remain as Prime Minister. It indicated there was a primary of 40 for the coalition and a primary of 33 for Labor. That is quite a gulf. But frankly, I don't need polls to tell me any of that. I hear that every day on the street. I was in Mount Eliza this morning talking to people. I was in Rye about 10 days ago. And the view is uniform. They do not feel that Anthony Albanese is there for them. They look at their situation and say, am I better off than when Albo promised me that things will be much better under his government? And the answer is manifestly no. If you look at inflation over just the last year, I know they like to crow about it having gone down, but not if you're buying fruit and vegetables, that are up by 9%. Not if you're paying for education, it's up by 6.4%. Not if you're paying insurance, it's up by 6%. And health is up by 5%. These are non-negotiable costs out of your pocket, and they're burning a hole in people's trousers. So no one feels better off. So maybe it's because, you know, they're the incumbents and they haven't done much to fix it. But the views are on the street, as you see them in the papers, that this government is not doing a good job.
And it is crunch time now, Andrew Charlton. And I get your point. You're saying there needs to be more detail. But as you know, Andrew, you've been around politics a long time. People vote out governments. They don't necessarily vote in oppositions in terms of their motivation.
Look, that's absolutely right. And you know, Zoe is right to point out that there are a number of items in the household budget that are going up. And she mentioned 3 or 4 really important items just then that are going up. But the truth is, it's easy to cherry pick those items, Kieran. You can always find items that are going up at any point in time. But what she's not telling you is that when the Liberal Party left office, there were a lot more items going up. In fact, the overall inflation level was double what it is today. And this government has brought inflation down by half. And that's the focus of this government. And you can compare that to what Peter Dutton has been doing over the last couple of days. He was down in Tasmania making a big announcement, but it wasn't an announcement for Australians doing it tough in the housing market. It wasn't an announcement for Australians struggling with the cost of living. It was an announcement of a promise for that seat in Tasmania to try and help Peter Dutton win that seat and become Prime Minister. That's where his focus is, not on solving the issues that families are facing in Australia, but on political solutions to get himself into the lodge.